Hi, good afternoon. Before I start today, I would like you to meet two women. These two women have taught me a little bit in life. Let's start with Wimla. Wimla I met a couple of years back when I'd gone to distribute food in a slum in Gurgaon. That slum is generally inhabited by nomadic people. They don't generally stay in one place for more than 3 months. So when I met her that day, it was the first time I was seeing her. She was extremely frail. When I asked, I found out she'd given birth just 3 days ago. Her fifth child, Akash. As is the case a lot of times, she'd been abandoned by her alcoholic husband. She was living with a very old mother-in-law and the other tribal folk with her. She'd just eaten a little bit of wheat flour cooked in mustard oil, her version of halwa. So I asked her, what does she really need? A little bit of clarified butter, ghee, will be enough. What did I learn from her? She had need, but not greed. Let's meet Parvati Ajji. Ajji is the Marathi word for grandma. I met her a couple of weeks back in a very remote tribal village in Maharashtra. She's a 90-year-old lady, widowed when she was a teenager, very independent, has managed to live her life pretty much. She's over 90 today. Not lived the best of lives. She barely eats a little bit of rice, some vegetable that she manages to grow. We went to her with a bag of grains, pulses, and some oil. And we told her that's for her. And we don't need anything in return. She just could not bear that someone could actually do that for her. What I learned from her was gratitude. She didn't have a lot to offer, but she still made sure that we went home only after having a tea. What did I learn from her? Gratitude is probably the best attitude. Now what if I tell you that in the next few seconds, thousands of children will die? 1 in 10 people in the world sleep hungry every night. 783 million people, over 10% of the world's population, suffered from dire hunger last year. About 30% were from India. Now what if I tell you that the world actually produces enough food to feed everyone? 1/3 of the food that is produced around the world is never consumed, it's wasted. Even think about your own household. Indian households estimated to waste around 50 kg per person annually. 82% of the hungry people in the world live in countries with food surpluses, not food shortages. The problem really is not the lack of food. The problem is the lack of access. The solution is then very simple, making food consistently available to the people who need it. I'm sure you've seen this, you're all B students. It looks like a very simple formula to solve a problem. And I'm sure as Indians, we see poverty very closely. And very often when we have food left over from a dinner at a restaurant, we've gone ahead and given it to someone who needs it. But when the problem is of 783 million people, just that one meal will really not make a big difference. And that's what a few friends thought one day when they'd gone to distribute food to 50-odd people. That much will actually not make a difference. You need an army to solve a problem like that. And that is what got birthed the Robin Hood Army. Hi, I'm Swasti, and I will talk about my extended family today, the Robin Hood Army. So what really is the Robin Hood Army? The Robin Hood Army, RHA as we call it, is a zero-funds volunteer organization that works to get surplus food from restaurants, parties, weddings, college canteens, office cafeterias, to communities who need it the most. When I say a volunteer-based organization, a volunteer could be someone like you. A volunteer could be a retired army professional. It could be a doctor. It could be someone like me. I work in a consulting organization. It could be a homemaker. It could be pretty much anyone who wants to make a difference, who believes to make a difference, you need to think less and do more. Today, we are about 238,000 volunteers. We call ourselves Robins. We do this in their free time because all you need to do to make a change is take out a little bit of free time. That could be just 2 hours in a day. With 2 hours in a day, we've managed to feed 134 million meals across 405 cities in 3 continents. So at Robin Hood Army, we believe in using food as a medium to serve humanity. We work in a very hyper-local, decentralized mode. For instance, if I live in Bandra, in Bombay, and a restaurant who's probably has some leftover food from a buffet calls me up and says, I have food left over, would you like to distribute it? And if I do have some free time, I would say yes and call up some other colleagues or Robins, go distribute, pick up the food, go distribute it to a slum or street children or an orphanage, whoever I think or whoever we think needs it the most that day. We believe in creating self-sustained chapters, which we think is the best way to scale, but also because a problem like hunger is a very hyper-local problem. And if you really need to scale, you need to give ownership to people who are serving at that level, at ground zero. To be able to scale, unfortunately, we do need a few rules, don't we? At RHA, we follow 3 non-negotiable principles, also a mantra to scale, like I said. Let's start with the bottom. Hunger is a problem which is way beyond borders, religions, political opinions, and there is no need for those differences to be on ground when you're serving people. So we are apolitical and we include all religions. But the most important mantra for us, which has actually worked, is that we are a zero funds organization. Now, how does that work? I'm a volunteer. I don't do it for money. I do it only for the incentive that I want, which is the satisfaction to see those smiles of the people who I've served. So if you do want to support us, you support us with your time. If you can support us with food, that will be great, especially if it's surplus food that you would have otherwise gotten wasted. If you're a celebrity, give us a shout out. If you are a media company, give us some space in your newspaper to talk about Robin Hood Army. In fact, the RHA model, maybe of interest to you, B school students, is a Harvard Business School case study as the most unique model that has been able to mobilize social impact at such large scale without taking a single penny as donation. Because you don't really need money to solve a problem like food waste management. The incentive, like I said, is pure joy by serving those people. Joy which looks like this to me every Sunday. That is the love that I get when I go serve these kids on a Sunday. Trust me, it is more valuable than my monthly paycheck. Like I said, we use food as a platform to bring out the best of humanity. At RHA, we believe in providing a platform to anyone who needs to make a change. Because when you work at that level, you start understanding the different problems that your local community faces. And we are then a platform to be able to solve for those problems. And that's exactly what we've been doing over the years. We started off in 2014. Very quickly we realized that education is definitely something and an immediate one that we need to start solving for. So we started off with RHA Academy. It's an offshoot of Robin Hood Army where we prepare underprivileged children to go to school. We've been able to admit about 5,000 students to date who are going to school regularly now. Again, at no cost. We don't take money for this. It's not required. We just need to prepare children to go to school and make them capable to be able to do that. Disaster relief is something which came very naturally to us. Way back in 2016, when there was a drought in Maharashtra, in Latur district specific, our Robins in Pune thought they needed to do something about it. It was their platform to make a difference. What did they do? They started spreading the word around corporates, schools, families that we need to collect water. And what did they do with this water? They managed to start a special train which ran Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and they transported 70,000 liters of water to Latur district from Pune. How could they do it? Because they think less and do more. One of my favorite times has actually been the COVID. The most testing times for Robin Hood Army. We were pretty much preparing for it. This was a real battlefield, wasn't it? So we decided to mobilize immediately. We decided to get on a mission. The mission was to serve 30 million meals across 45 days. Then started the vaccination period. The extended lockdown was really bad on senior citizens who were living alone. Families and their kids were not able to go to their parents. I wasn't able to meet my parents during the whole period. So we started Mission Senior Patrol. Uber partnered with us. WhatsApp partnered with us. Uber provided us free meals. WhatsApp actually started a bot where a senior citizen who needed it or a family who wanted to take care of their senior citizens could just reach out to us, and our Robins made sure they were able to deliver medicines, groceries, and even register them for vaccination or take them to the vaccination center. Because RHA is a platform where you can do something if you have the right intent. This year, we decided that we need to really get to the root of the problem. The root of the problem, or probably where the problem lies the most, that is rural India. So we started missions for this. Independence Days, around the Independence Day period is when we actually launched a mission. So this year, we served around 1,041 villages, around 10 million meals, and that's where I met Parvati Achi. That's where I started making those. That's where you actually learn so much. And rural India is going to be one place where we're going to keep doing because we've just scratched the surface. Volunteers definitely is something that we need. But you also, when you're working on a community like this, you do need an army of like-minded partners. We've been extremely lucky. Social media has been, of course, a blessing for us. We use WhatsApp as a medium to communicate across 238,000 volunteers using WhatsApp, staying connected all the time. Zerodha has actually built an app to help Robins check in when they go for a drive. Uber is our partner, they provide us with free rides so that we're actually able to distribute food. We've been lucky with platforms like TEDx, Kaun Banega Crorepati. After the Kaun Banega Crorepati episode aired, 40,000 volunteers signed up on our platform, and we were able to start 15 new chapters in the next 7 days. That is the power of our partners. You can't discount them. When you work in a community, you need everyone. And thankfully, there is no dearth. When you have the right intent, when you have people who can think less and do more, you have that power. Mr. Amitabh Bachchan has been kind enough to talk about us on Twitter, to make videos for us. I'm sure he's a busy man, but he's able to take out time because he has the right intent. Our real assets, of course, are our Robins, our volunteers, who take out 2 hours or more of their time every week because they want to make a difference. And what has the 2 hours got us? This is our non-financial statement. I'm sure as these students, you're forced to sort of understand a little bit of this. This is slightly different though, because we don't raise funds, we serve people. So the credit side of our balance sheet is probably the most interesting because we get infinite blessings. What started off as a group of friends distributing food to 50 people is now an army of 238 people who've served 130 meals across 405 cities. But we are only 1% done because the size and scale of the problem is such. So we're just getting started. What makes it worthwhile, like I said, is the sheer joy that you get by helping someone. He's a man who was able to step out of his house after 6 months when he provided him with a wheelchair.
ಇಲ್ಲಿ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ನೋಡ್ಕೊಳ್ಳಿ, ಇದು ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಇದು ಅವರೆಲ್ಲ ಕಾಯ್ಬೇಕು ಅಂದಾಗ ಇದನ್ನ ಈ ತರ ಮಾಡ್ಬಿಟ್ಬಿಡಿ,
ಇಲ್ಲಾಂದ್ರೆ ಅದು ಹೋಗ್ತಾ ಇರತ್ತೆ. ಇದನ್ನ ಬ್ರೇಕ್ ಮಾಡಿ ಹೇಗೆ ಹಿಡ್ಕೋಬೇಕು, ಅದು ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ, ಮೂವ್ ಆಗಲ್ಲ. ಇಲ್ಲಿ ತೆಗೆದ್ರೆ ಮೂವ್ ಆಗುತ್ತೆ,
ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗಲ್ಲ. ಅದನ್ನ ಬಿಚ್ಚಿದ್ರೆ ಮುಂದಕ್ಕೆ ಹೋಗುತ್ತೆ. ನೀವು ತಳ್ಳಬೇಕಂದ್ರೆ ಅದನ್ನ ತಳ್ಳಿ.
Those were tears of joy. That makes my life worthwhile. Probably not my professional job, but moments like these. Unfortunately, even after doing all this, there will be a lot of people sleeping hungry tonight. And that's the reason why we're only 1% done. I was thinking, what thought should I leave you with? What is it that will keep you motivated? As these students or as other people who joined us today, if you want to make a difference, there are no excuses. You need the right intent. You need the mindset that you need to think less and do more. Thank you so much.